Welcome to the Peachtree Morning Show by DCI. It's a wise way to start the day. Hope you enjoy.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Peachtree Cafe. Here with Geshe Michael is Erin, Nick,
Hi
and
there.
Amelie. It's about her nap time, so she's getting a little fussy. So she's got a lot to say here today. But hopefully she won't be too disruptive. She'll just try to give us some of her wisdom.
Okay.
How you doing, Geshe Michael?
I'm good. I'm getting bored at home, but I think I'm overworking again.
Yeah, my sister was telling me that we have to try not to overwork too much.
Yeah.
But we can't help it either. Today, first for our question, her name is Linda from Germany, and it's a really cool question. So if we're ready, I'll show it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It's loading.
Hello, Gish Michael. Hello, Urit. Hello, Scott. This is Linda from Germany, and my question is, what can we do about climate change? How can we stop it? Thank you so much for your answers. Goodbye.
Did you hear?
Yeah, what can we do about climate change?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, I like this question.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. There we go. I dropped something. It's a big question and it's important, and I think it's really relevant today. So Linda, if you're watching, thank you for asking. I don't know. The first thing for me when I was thinking about this question, we thought about it a little bit. I looked up the correlation in the Mixed Nuts translation group. We're translating a bunch of different texts, and two of the books that we're translating are about karmic correlations. And in the Crown of Knives, it mentions this. It mentions crazy weather. And I think one of the things that climate change does is creates crazy weather patterns. So it's related here. And it seems to be correlating it to keeping your commitments.
Yeah.
So, on some level that could mean formal commitments you may have taken, like wedding vows or something. But I think it also relates to just commitments you make to other people. Like, you're going to help somebody with something, or being on time or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, we were talking about this this morning, and we were also thinking a lot about nature and climate change. And it seems that climate change is creating a disruption in the ecology. So the relationships of all of the elements to one another, air, water, species. And so we were thinking a little bit about this state of imbalance that's being created. And I just said, it makes sense that if we don't keep our commitments, we're creating the opposite of balance for people, which would be like chaos. If they don't know if they can count on us, or, if we say we're going to pay a bill and we don't pay it, or whatever our promises are, creating that imbalance. So we thought that was kind of an interesting thing to think about as well.
I think maybe when you change your plans and you don't really let people know, maybe that's a big thing, like you change your idea about something, which I do often, and then you don't really prepare other people and you don't consult other people who are going to be affected. You just go ahead and make a change without warning people. So I think that could be. I have some bigger questions for you guys. So this is supposedly, I think, the third of the 4 ways that karma opens, right? As your environment, right? As your general environment. So you have to take responsibility for not just the things that happen to you, but the weather, right? And my question is, so why do we all see the same weather then? Like some people made good seeds and some people made bad seeds, but we all experienced the weather. So what do you guys think?
We were also talking about that. Do you mind if I
Yeah,
say one thing?
go ahead.
We were also talking about this actually on our walk yesterday. We were
Mhm.
saying it's so strange because on one side of the world, one person could be experiencing worse weather, or the threat of their sea level rising, or extreme heat or fire, and then on the other side of the world, there might be a place where it's actually better or more pleasurable weather. Um, and so we were talking about how karma is so interesting like that, where someone might be experiencing an unpleasant ripening while someone else is experiencing a pleasant ripening. Did I just answer the opposite of what you were asking?
No, it sounds good. I'm thinking of the story of King Udayana,
Uh-huh.
for whom the Wheel of Life was first painted. And in that story, there's a side story
Mm-hmm.
about a particularly virtuous teenager, a young man. And so he falls asleep. The king of his country dies, and the king has no heir. So the people are out looking for someone who has enough good karma to become the king. And this poor boy, poverty-stricken teenager, is asleep under a tree. And the sun passes its zenith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then he should get sunburned because the shadow of the tree is supposed to follow the sun. But then the shadow of the tree changes impossibly to cover him while he's asleep. And then the village people see him, and then they come and wake him up and tell him he has to be king because he has such good karma.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I can
So-
see the relation. Yeah, like if your karma is good enough, climate change won't even affect you.
Yeah, or there's sections of California that couldn't grow grapes for wine before, and now they can grow it. It's
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess on the other hand, relating to the question you just asked, it's like, and yet still we live in a world where there's like, even if it doesn't affect you in a negative way personally, immediately, we live in a world where there's this climate change thing happening that is probably, likely to be detrimental to many people. And like, why are we all seeing that since we all have our own unique karmas? Sounded like part of what you were asking.
Yes, I think what you're saying is that maybe it's a mixture of black and white karma because you can say it hasn't really affected me personally,
Right.
but if you heard about other people's whole country on fire, like the Australians,
Right.
then that's also part of your world, right?
Yeah.
And it causes suffering.
I,
We were just noticing how it seems like Jeru, our dog, is a little bit affected by what's happening with this pandemic, and he seems a little scared this week and really insecure. He needs a lot of cuddles, and it just seems like we can really feel how everyone else is suffering, even though it might not be affecting us in this very moment.
And then it does affect you, I think. Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
eventually does. Yeah.
Yeah, our dog also has been very uneasy for a couple weeks and needing a lot of hugs, cuddling. Like this morning,
Mm-hmm.
jump up on the bed and wake up a certain person, demand some cuddles. I think they are very sensitive to the feeling. So even even if our state is not burning, but other people's land is burning, then I think it affects us, right? We feel it.
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think
Even
like,
the dogs.
oh, even the
And
dogs.
too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and like with respect to like us all, sharing this universally, I guess it's one of the many things that as people on this planet, we share a lot of collective karmas, a lot of seeds that we all share. And this one, it seems to be like in the general sense, this planet's our home. And all of a sudden there's this threat of unsafety of our home that we're all kind of sharing. And I don't know, but I could say like something I was thinking about on our walk too is like, as a planet, we're divided into these separate territories, and we fight each other over these territories. And maybe it has something to do with that like there's we present a threat toward other countries because we want something from their resources. The United States has done this to countless countries.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I mean, just it's like as a globe right now, the way we're separated and the way that humans have this kind of, we're not in harmony in a lot of ways. We present a threat to each other in many ways.
Do you think the virus is bringing people? I mean, there's a certain reaction to the virus where in America, for example, people say, I don't like Chinese people or something like that. But I think there's another kind of feeling going around that I see. People are starting to be more tender to each other and more nice to each other. So do you think that's going to happen internationally?
Yeah. Well, definitely we hope that's the way it's going to go. I do see those two categories. People seem to either go into one or go into the other. Our friend was out hiking a couple days ago, and she said there was a woman on the hiking trail just swinging a stick so that no one would get close to her. And that's one way people go extreme. And we're hoping that we'll also see the opposite, which is people developing more bodhicitta and extending their own, suffering out to others, and hoping they can help others more.
Yeah, I've kind of seen, like, I made a dangerous trip to the grocery store, and it kind of felt, the people I ran into, there was more of a feeling of unity and of we're all in this together, So maybe that will help change the climate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what actually, it's interesting. I keep reading news about how the climate's improving just due to this virus, just on a conventional level, because people aren't driving. And then, the skies are blue in LA for the first time in like 50 years or something. And probably similar things happened around the world.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I mean, just this morning, I did also make a dangerous trip to the grocery store, and it was for the first time today, I kind of felt a little bit of like a nice feeling, like maybe the fear subsiding a little bit. People are starting to feel this sense of just caring for each other.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that too in my limited trips out. I've seen people asking how you're doing more, and
from far away.
And I even noticed that we now that we're stuck at home, we were watching a TV show. Don't tell. And there was a Cadillac commercial. There was a Cadillac commercial, and it was so funny to me because the Cadillac commercial, like their motto in the commercial was that we can get through this together. And I thought that's really cool. If these corporations start sending that message.
Yeah. What can we do to change the climate in another country, like in a poor country or something? Like I have a friend. We have a friend, Word, who's stuck in New Delhi, and we've been trying to get him out like crazy for the last. Scott's been working, Orit's been working very hard, and so more people are gonna get the virus there because they already have incredibly bad pollution.
Right.
But their lungs are already weak, So, I mean, normally we don't pay much attention to it, but what could we do from here? I don't know.
Wow.
Related to climate change?
Oh, related to the pollution in India or in another country?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tend to not take much interest in the pollution in New Delhi, which kills like 30 people a day, kids,
Mm-hmm.
So what could we do? And would that improve our climate?
Yeah. We were talking about this question is funny because it seems like one of the karmic answers kind of matches the conventional approach too, which would be just to respect our use of resources more and how much we're taking from thinking of the world as a whole more. Not like, what's available here in our hometown, but more like, how is this part of the big pie, how much of the pie am I taking? So that it seems like just taking care of being more conscious of what we're taking and how we're just disposing of things.
Yeah, just generally we were just thinking that generally recycling and having an ecological mindset, while it's also a conventional result, would also.
Mhm.
I wanted to put solar on my house, and the salesman came and he said, "Oh, you're doing a really smart thing, you know, this is going to pay off. You're going to make a lot of money off this." And I look him in the eye and I said, "Look, you know, and I know, or maybe you don't know that I know, that this won't pay for itself for 15 years, you know."
Right.
Mhm.
And I said, "I'm not doing it. And, you know, I'll be 90, I don't know, whatever. So I'm not doing this to make money, you know, I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do
Yeah.
for the world."
Yeah, doing
Totally.
your part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think maybe encouraging people. Boy, when I was in Germany, I took a train, and the Germans have figured out that you know, every train has a right of way. What do you call it? The land on either side of the train has to be owned by the train company, by the government.
Mm. Layaway?
And what's it called? In
Layaway?
America, the electric company.
Oh,
The electric company owns the land. They have a
easement.
anyway easement. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So the German government put solar on all their easements.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
the train is running through fields
Right.
of solar panels,
Yeah.
because the train is very precise. It's not going to go a foot this way or a foot that way,
Because it's in
uh,
Germany.
and they're exporting electricity.
That's so cool.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
And they're closing their last nuclear plants.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
Wow.
So they're super. Yeah, I knew Germany was really
So
ahead with them.
cool.
So
We
why is a German asking an American what to do about climate change?
that's a
No
really
kidding.
good point.
We were just saying that we want to start using social media to post all the cool things that all these other countries are doing better than the United States.
Yeah.
Since we live in a country where it's very competitive, maybe that will
Motivate. Yeah.
motivate some of these companies.
We hit the timer in terms of, so maybe we can just go around offering some proposed immediate type of seed solutions.
Mhm.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, well, I think what we said of just being more conscious of what we're how we're consuming, and also trying to keep our promises and commitments and lessen chaos for others. I really like what Geshe Michael said of sometimes changing things without letting people know. I know I'm guilty of that. I just don't think about how I'm going to affect people. Mm-hmm.
And just I guess I would add, like, really keeping in mind what we can do and say to help people feel safe in their home, and and then eventually across international borders, if there's things we can do to contribute to that. Keeping our book, and just
Yeah.
using that as a tool to help us be mindful of these interactions that we're having with people. Yeah, and aware of the promises that we make to people.
I just have this thing about you know, we support refugees in different countries, and we have been paying for them to put solar panels up, and that pretty much most of them have put up some solar panels, but then it's not complete. So I think from my side, uh, it would be there's countries that are too poor to not use oil, or in Asia they're too poor to not use coal, and so maybe we could do what we can do to help them. I think during the virus, people are going to lose money. All of us are losing money, and so I think this is a great time to make contributions to other countries' poor people as much as we can, as much as we can responsibly do inside of our family, but do something, give something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think it would break this cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we've got for this episode of the Peach Tree. But let me pull up the video for tomorrow. This is going to be Seiji and Noor answering.
Yeah.
Let me get it up. Oh, whoa.
This is Yasmin from Germany.
So this is Yasmin from Germany, and let's check out her video.
Lynn from Germany. I was wondering, is getting paid for something counteracting the seed planting? Or is the intention behind it more important? I work in a retiring home on an hourly basis and host tea ceremonies and creative hours for the elderly people. And yeah, still want to plant the seeds for connection. Is that counteracting or not? Thank you so much.
Cool. I like that. I'm gonna have to.
I heard this question before, and what she's saying is, she says contract, but she means contradict.
Yeah.
So she's saying, if, for example, if you work in a nursing home, you make good seeds, but if you take money for it, it seems it would hurt the seed.
It's a great question.
Yeah. Find out tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Such suspense.
And so looking forward to tuning into that one. Thank you, Amelie, for being so good.
Thanks, Amelie.
Thank you, Geshe-la, for inviting us to your show.
Thank you, Geshe Michael.
So fun.
See you on Thursday.
See you then.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, you
Take
too, Geshe-la.
Thanks for watching today's Peachtree Morning Show. See you next time.